Welcome to Dorset. Today we're on the River Frome for sunrise. Great to see you all again. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're on the River Frome down in Wretham and we're here to shoot the quay. It's going to be an interesting start. We've got a little bit of mist just rolling across the river. It's not as much as I'd like when I shoot this particular shot, but it's not too bad. So hopefully we might be able to get something. Today we're shooting with the 100-400 and on this particular shot it's the best thing ever, purely because the boats are quite a reasonable distance down, and most of the time when I see this shot taken, people will do it with a wide angle lens or at max a 100 lens, and it's just not quite enough to get close into those boats. The sun's going to come up slightly to the right of where the boats are, and what that's going to do, it's going to give us a lovely bit of pre-glow just before sunrise. It's a little bit hard work shooting today because it's almost close to rush hour and it's on a very busy road and cars going past left, right and centre, so there's the odd bit of noise here, so I apologise for that. Hopefully we'll manage to do a little bit of talking to camera before all the noise really kicks in and the rush hour starts. It's an interesting shot, this one, because it's a tidal river, so you do get some movement with the boats. Sometimes they'll even ground out as the tide goes right the way out and the river level drops, and they can be tilted from side to side. But at the moment we've got a good level of water in the river, so it's not looking too bad. One thing we do have to be really careful with here is the fact that the boats will move in the current of the river, so we can't afford to do anything too long on the exposure. Because I'm shooting on a long lens, I'm shooting at probably a higher aperture than I would normally, a little bit more closed up rather than wide open on this particular shot, because I want a little bit of depth of field just on those boats. But essentially I'm going to up my ISO to ISO 200 and hopefully that should give me the desired shutter speed, so maximum of a couple of seconds to stop any movement within those boats, and it should give us a nice clean shot. The sun's about 30 minutes from coming up at the moment, and we're going to get that nice glow, as you can see behind me, just starting down on the river. As you get closer and closer to the boats, there's a lot more sort of mist going in, whereas there's very little in front of me at the moment. Obviously I'd love it with a lot more mist, but you know, we've got what we've got, but I think we can still make a decent shot out of it today. Absolutely love shooting mist, as you know, but on the river here it gives it such a great atmosphere. The shot is beautiful. It's a very well known shot. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen it quite a few times, but it is so nice. And I think we're going to give it a slightly different twist by shooting it on the 100-400, because most people shoot it much further back. So cropping in tight just gives it a nice different edge. We're going to be shooting both portrait and landscape orientation today. If you shoot it in landscape and you want to crop in tight, then you can't get both the masts and the boats in the same shot at the same time. But if you shoot it in portrait, you obviously can, and it looks really nice like that. It's still very detailed on the boats themselves, but my favourite way to shoot it is probably in portrait, but I'll shoot both and you can let me know which you think is better. It's such a great atmosphere when you've got mist rolling across this river. It really does look superb. Hopefully we're going to end up with a really nice shot out of it, but as I say, it's not quite as much mist as I'd like, and maybe we'll come back here in the future and I'll show you. And again, the sunrise, it's not going to be as powerful as I'd like, but it should still be a very atmospheric shot, and that's what we're going for, really. You don't always need, you know, super bright colours and things like that to make a shot very powerful and portray an emotion. And with the atmosphere from the mist that's rolling across, it really does give the shot a nice edge to it, so it should look pretty good anyway. Well, we've got a group of swans just heading down the river at the moment, and that always helps. We might try and include those in shot. You know, adds to the atmosphere and the ambience of the scene, but obviously we need to do a very fast shutter speed in order to catch those swans, because otherwise the movement will just totally spoil the shot. So we'll have a go, see how we get on. Now the sun's coming up a little bit, we're going to get a much lower base ISO, so we've gone down to ISO 50, which is really going to help the quality on this particular shot. But obviously the speed of the shutter is now much faster as well, so we're still not getting the problem of the boats moving at all, so it's a good combination. Okay, so we're now shooting at ISO 50, F11, and we've got a shutter speed of 1/6 of a second, so we're really managing to freeze the motion of those boats, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, most of the mist has gone now. It went very, very quickly this morning, but I'm sure we've got enough shots in here of the early mist, just pre-sunrise, to make a decent shot. So now the sun's coming up, what we're going to have is the light reflecting just off the side of some of the boats in the rear of the scene. So it gives an extra added depth to it as well. So it looks really, really nice. It's much nicer than shooting directly into the sun on this particular shot, I feel. In terms of focal length, we're actually shooting at 400mm right now. Really getting tight crop on these boats. It looks so much better in my opinion. We've now got the sunlight coming up and it's casting a little bit of shadow over the boats, as well as some nice light coming through, just creeping through the gaps in the trees. It really does look so atmospheric. The scene itself is quite unevenly lit. I mean, you've got all the boats in the front which are still in the shadow, and then you've got all the boats that are right at the rear of the scene which have currently got the light on them. But it looks really, really effective. It's a beautiful contrast right between the scenes, so it's well worth shooting, I think. As predicted, the mist is kicking up just a little bit more now the sun's come up, so we're getting a little bit more around the boat, so it really does look quite nice. Rather amusingly, we're actually getting photobombed by seagulls at the moment. They seem to be everywhere in the scene. It makes it very, very difficult to shoot, but you can't get mad at them. It's their home, and they belong here much more than we do, so you just have to work with them, and sometimes incorporating them into shot can look good, but it's murder for shutter speed because they move so fast. I'll stick a couple of pictures up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Given the conditions that we've had this morning, I don't think we've done too bad really. It would have been nice to have a bit more mist, but can't have everything. But as it is, I think we got a reasonable shot out of it, so I'm pretty pleased. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and it's a place that maybe you'll come down and have a look at yourself. It really is beautiful and well worth a visit. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really do appreciate it. As always, I'd really appreciate a like, a comment, or maybe even a subscribe if you don't already. But thank you to everyone who does. What did we learn today? Don't do a vlog in the middle of a main road.